Welcome back to the Slanted Attic Experience. I'm your host, Tyler, and today we're talking architecture, sustainability, and the way design shapes how we live and connect. Our guest this week is Abby, a Richmond-based architect, UVA grad, and North Carolina native who's passionate about historic preservation and sustainable design. She's got a great perspective on how cities evolve, how density can actually work, and what happens when creativity meets community. We cover everything from post-grad architecture and urban planning to Richmond's shifting landscape, minor league baseball, sustainability, and even the art of road rage. It's a fast-paced, thoughtful conversation that ties design, culture, and everyday life together in a way that'll make you look at your surroundings a little differently. New episodes drop bi-weekly at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time with the occasional surprise release. Let's dive right into it. Many upgrades to be had, but the next one I promise we will get you in person in the studio.
Cool. I would love to do that.
Yeah, it's home studio. So already started the audio, but why don't you give the guests a little bit of info about yourself, who you are, where you're from, and then I kind of wanted to get right into architecture like we were talking earlier.
Yeah, totally. My name's Abby. I'm from North Carolina, specifically Winston-Salem. I was born in Philly, but I was raised in North Carolina. So I'm a Southern girl at heart. And I went to UVA for college, and that is what brought me to Virginia. And I studied architecture, which we're going to be talking about. And then I graduated in 2020 into the pandemic. So job market was tough. That's what brought me to Richmond. But now that I've been here for 5 years, I'm loving it, and I don't see a reason to ever leave. So,
Yeah, I'm an out of towner too. There's not many of us here. I feel like a lot of people that
are
are
you?
in
Where are you
Richmond have
from?
been in Richmond. I'm from central Pennsylvania, more specifically like the Hershey area. Palmyra
Oh yeah,
is where I went to high
I'm,
school. Yeah,
I'm
so
familiar.
yeah, grew up there, made my way to Virginia Tech, and then made my way to Richmond from that. But yeah, I graduated in 21, took a fifth year, um, but I was in building construction, so market wasn't quite as dry. I had two internships prior to that with the company that I chose to, sign with as if I'm an athlete, you know,
Yeah,
um, work for after school. And they moved me out to Colorado for 10 months, which was an awesome experience out there. But then they turned around, sent me back to DC, had me working super long hours. So got out of that large general contractor world in a smaller one now. And I'm liking it a lot better. I get more face time with important people, just people I'm working with. It felt so fire drill at the last job. So nice change of pace, a little more intricacy with my work. I get to be involved in a lot more. Previously, it was primarily subcontractor management, so I'd be managing one trade. So I learned a lot about drywall, but at the end of a 6 months job, like
fascinating.
exactly like how much is there to know about drywall? So that's kind of what I did after school, but I'm sure you experienced a similar market going out there. I mean, I kind of lucked into that opportunity as I had the internship, but tell me what that was like for you.
Um, I mean, like you said, I think it was not just the architecture and construction job market that was like kind of brought to a screeching halt in 2020, but I was lucky enough to have interned with a company here in Richmond. It was totally not like the the dream job. I
Sure.
ended up in multifamily housing development, so like those big 5/1 stack and packs that you see going up and tainting the whole town. I have some big thoughts about that kind of development practice, and not super proud to have been involved in it for a couple years, but had to pay the bills back in the
Absolutely.
pandemic. And, all that being said, it was still definitely a valuable learning experience because, like, regardless of what we were building, it was still an opportunity to, like, get in there and be developing construction documents and, like, learning about client relationships and like how to work under a project manager and that kind of thing. It was overall it was like a decent start as somebody who was so brand new in the field, and I can't I can't throw too much shade on it because it did end up leading me to much better opportunities. But yeah, those apartment buildings
Absolutely.
are really, there's not much to be said for them architecturally, aesthetically, like,
Yeah, I mean, that's what's easy for us, honestly. Those commercial, what are they? I don't know, like the parcel buildings. That's this the same. It's brick facade on the outside,
yeah.
Tyvek wrapped, and frickin' what do they have? Usually, we do a lot of metal stud drywall in lieu of wood, but it's primarily like concrete. Oh my God, why can't I think of any of this? My estimator hat's off for the day. I left work. But a question I did want to ask you about the multifamily stuff. I read a bunch about walkable city type things, and it provides better area for people to kind of the. Let me rephrase that. The way they currently situate everything is to keep people in smaller areas. Like they keep
Mhm.
restaurants in their little community centers and spas and gyms and all of that. So they never have to travel elsewhere to get their goods, services that they would otherwise, have to travel to Willow Lawn or Short Pump if there's not a specific store in certain areas. So what I
Sure.
have formed an opinion on after that, like I think it's important for exposure to outside culture. I think that could be dangerous for us as tribal people. We're inherently tribal. We like to belong to
Mhm.
specific groups, ideologies. You see that with sports, baseball, football, lacrosse, golf. You like to root for a team. So has that been your experience? Is it more of like you're not able to put any design effort or thought behind anything? Like what grinds your gears about multifamily? I don't know if I would ever get into that personally, but I'm sure there's plenty of people out there that enjoy it.
Yeah. Um, the tribal thing that you're talking about, is that just in reference to like when they call it often like mixed use multifamily because they'll build in like a little market or like a gym or something on the ground floor that just provides commercial space below the housing.
Right. I was more speaking on like
Um,
human characteristics of tribalism. Like we like to belong to specific groups, and that would create a what's a good way to kind of describe that? Like one collective group of people in an area, and then another collective group. You're not really intermingling because you never have to leave for anything. Does that make sense?
maybe like a village concept.
Yeah,
Um, I think that's kind of like, I don't know. There's a lot to be said about multifamily development when it's done right, and
sure.
it's in in a bubble. Multifamily development is a great thing because it emphasizes density, and that's the kind of thing that's a good start to this kind of walkable community village aspect that you're talking about. It's not wasting land space. It is kind of inherently creating this community within a smaller living community. And when there is the kind of mixed use thing going on, that means that you might have like a grocery store on the ground level or something that, it prevents you from living in a food desert. It just makes these kind of community resources more readily accessible. But the way that a lot of especially in Richmond, and I don't think that is a bubble. I think it's happening everywhere. The way that they're developing multifamily is, it's kind of like a developer's dream. They can put this thing up for really cheap because it is really cheap to build like a 5/1 apartment building in terms of like development in the grand scheme. They can build it really cheap, and then they can bill it as like luxury housing
Mm,
and rent each unit for like way more than it costs to build each unit. Like the amount of times I've had to deal with developers when we're doing like value engineering and they're trying to look at what they can cut out from the project to make things more affordable for them. It's not about the people that are going to be living there because they're like, ceiling fans in every room. We don't need ceiling fans in any room. Like, you're evil. That actually
it's
sucks. If you've
terrible.
ever had a bedroom without a ceiling fan in it, it's taking away like, I don't know. I might be getting astray onto like the evil practices of like developers that are just trying to earn money and not looking out for the needs of the community. But I guess the question that you asked is more about the needs of the community. And I mean, circling back, density. in that sense is wonderful, but it has to be done right. It has to actually serve the needs of the inhabitants. And a lot of that is just from making a walkable community. So mixed use is great. Living where we do in Richmond, where it's this historic neighborhood that luckily was built to be walkable. I mean, just from the age that these buildings were built, like cars weren't a thing. It was horses and carriages. So naturally, it all needed to be close together. And then now it makes such a wonderful community for young people like us who, a lot of people romanticize college and how great it was to be living really close to your friends, being able to walk to all these like bars and restaurants and like your classes and stuff. Um, I feel like we're still kind of living in a microcosm of that environment. Like, I don't have to romanticize college as much because my friends still live down the street from me. We can still walk to bars together. We can still,
Right.
museums and stuff are nearby. So, density in that sense is a great thing, but the way that developers are handling the multifamily thing and acting like they're addressing the housing crisis is not actually doing what they say. If you're picking up what I'm putting down.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Developers, here's where I have the issue. It's like, who can afford to take the loss is the question, because we obviously need to fix the problem, which is, unhealthy living standards, unhospitable living environments. I mean, the cost of rent, the cost of, I mean, even like fixing appliances. I mean, 10 years ago, you would buy a dryer and it would last you 15 years. Nowadays,
Yeah.
the life cycle is 3 years or 2 years, and you can't buy a
Yeah.
part and fix it yourself. Whatever it may be, things are becoming less and less attainable at a standard, salary or wage, even if we can call the minimum wage a living wage at this point. But
It's not.
yeah, right. Like, who 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 can we place the blame on? Because obviously, like, we're in a capitalistic market, right? Like, people need to make their money, appease the shareholders, appease the business owners. Like, it's hard to have a successful business if you're not making or turning a profit every year. So, like, that's what I think about all the time. I'm like, somebody obviously can afford to lose 0.5% on their margin over the course of a year, and that would somehow put ceiling fans in everybody's bedroom in this new multifamily house. You know what I mean? Like, or not a
Yeah,
multifamily house, the multifamily mixed use building.
sure.
So, like, I don't know. That's what I struggle with a lot. You see a lot of these people skimming off the top, and that's usually the people with the most money are trying to squeeze the most juice out of the lemon. So I don't know. Tough for me to hack up, but obviously there's an issue there.
Yeah. I mean, you say who can we place the blame on? It's something that's been developing since like World War II even. That's when a lot of this kind of urban sprawl and just more alternative development practices to just like the more dense urban centers that were more common before. It was urban or it was farmland before that. And
Mhm.
then that's when you started getting the suburbs and the things that kind of blurred the lines between urban development and like rural land. But um who can we place the blame on? It's kind of the government. Like there needs to be a certain amount of regulation, and that applies to all kinds of things where people are getting greedy because that's what it comes down to. It's like developers are getting greedy. You can't say you're addressing the housing crisis with these apartments when you're marketing them as luxury when they're not luxury. You're building them with cheap materials, and it's something that's not affordable to the majority of the population isn't addressing the housing market. So like there's so many things they can do. Like I have worked on projects where it's rent controlled is more of a term for like New York, I feel like, but they're kind of like salary capped where if you
Mhm.
apply to live there, it's targeted towards people that can afford a certain thing. Like there are ways like that that the government can step in. There's other ways that they can step in to kind of control this development. Recently, Richmond passed a law that was kind of like they kind of walked back a previous requirement where if you were building development like that that was housing a certain amount of people or providing commercial space to some extent, there was a certain amount of parking that was required. And that
Interesting.
requirement led to like a lot of surface parking that was just taking up space in like Scott's Addition, for example. You can probably
Yeah.
see a bunch of like random paved space where that could be another built up building that could be housing people. It could be full of, you know, offices, it could be full of commercial use, what have it. But they got rid of that requirement, so that's been making it easier for the densification in an urban setting to be happening without wasting any more space, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I've heard there's a lot of abandoned buildings too, and Richmond City can't really figure out what to do with them. I feel like that there's some land right there. There's some opportunity.
Yeah. Um, it's I don't know if it's the city can't figure out what to do with them. I mean, there's stuff like the Coliseum, and it's just a damn shame that it's sitting there like not
Mhm.
being used. And that's definitely something you can point the finger at the city government and be like, you guys are screwing up. Like this either needs to be torn down, or I still feel like it's like a viable event space that could be given a little bit of a facelift, and then we may actually be able to enjoy it as city dwellers. But other abandoned spaces, like there's that whole corridor along Broad Street, kind of in the arts district, where you see a lot of vacant storefronts where you can tell, like, once upon a time, it used to be kind of like a thriving
Yeah.
commercial environment, like maybe people on foot shopping, you know? And it's just not like that anymore for one reason or another. I don't really know about that area specifically, but yeah, there's a ton of opportunity in spaces like that. And I don't know if that's just building owners like sitting on it. And I don't see why you wouldn't be doing anything with it. You'd think you could make a decent amount of money at least renting the space out. But like in Scott's Addition, there's totally a ton of like, I would call that like previously industrial space. It's kind of like old warehouses,
Hmm.
old body shops, and that kind of thing, which are referred to as brownfields. Developing those areas is fantastic. That's a great thing to do. You run into stuff like soil remediation where
Sure.
there's toxins in the ground that you have to get rid of because you can't have people living on top of that. But that is much easier to deal with than if you were going to say try to take over the Section 8 housing down in Randolph and tear all that down in favor of building like privatized housing for profit. Like that's bad. You know, that's what we
Right.
call gentrification. Nobody likes that. But luckily, someplace like here where we have all of Scott's Addition and that brownfield space that we can develop into something that previously was just laying fallow, not being used, it can now be kind of this like vital extension to our urban center, which I mean, we've all seen that gentrification is happening all over the place, but not all development like that is gentrification. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a lot of opportunity to do the right thing for the city.
Mhm.
Two things I kind of wanted to add. I saw Danny Avula did an AMA on Reddit, and I read through a lot of the responses on there, and he kind of was talking about somebody asked a question about the abandoned buildings, and I can't recall it for the life of me, but I think he gave a pretty reflective and smart answer, so I was very impressed with that. Um, oh, where was I going to go? Oh, number two, Richmond City, coming from a contractor perspective, is has not always been the most responsive or timely. So some of that leads me to think that maybe in some way or another over the course of the last couple years, titles changed hands, things have been sold and not quite worked out with the city. People don't know what to do. Maybe they're not replying. Maybe they're in a standstill for mold remediation or frickin' asbestos or one of these other million things that can put a stop work order on your job or cause you major delays. Just kind of thought to add that in there. Obviously, developers need to figure it out because would love to
Yeah.
have a lot of these empty buildings being used, a lot of use for them. So yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how that develops. I've seen a ton of construction. It's funny how once you start getting into that realm, that's all you notice. Like all
Mhm.
I notice is freaking plumber vans and candlesticks and shit on the side of the road. Like I'm every time I'm driving past anything, that's all I look at anymore. It's like I'm
Yeah.
not seeing that there's an Old Navy and a Marshalls and a Best Buy over here. I'm looking at the McDonald's that's getting renovated or they're doing asphalt grading on this road. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
uh, it's funny how much more you kind of
see those things, and I've seen a lot in Richmond over the past 2 years I've been here.
Yeah. Um, you mentioned the Mayor of Woola AMA. I wish I had read that more carefully. I think I was busy when he was doing it, but I'm a
Yeah,
fan. I like him. I like what he's doing so far. It seems like he's making like kind of the necessary progressive steps that this so poorly run city government needs. I mean, it's apparent even if you like sometimes you'll get a utility bill and it's like $5,000. Why would it ever be that much? It's yeah. So I'm sure a lot of the weird stuff that's going on with like development in the city can be attributed to that. I just don't really know the specific like municipal politics that play into it. But I think we're in better hands with Mayor Bula than we were with Stony.
I think so too. And I haven't lived here long enough to experience Stoney before him, but just the way he kind of presented himself to the public eye and was very willing to like listen to people and respond. Even the AMA on Reddit just amazes me. A mayor of
I know.
a city, doing that just to even respond to 10, even if it's his aide and he's talking to them and responding to the questions. I mean, I feel like he's just spending time with the constituents and trying to learn what the real issues are amongst the people.
Yeah, 100%. I saw him at the Squirrels game the other night too. I
Oh,
was like, oh, he's for the people. We're supporting the minor league.
I still have not been to a Squirrels game.
You're kidding. Oh my
Need
God, you
I
and
need to
Bryce have
go.
got to go. It's so fun. That would be a great date night.
I think they're what, AAA or AA affiliate to the
Double A
Giants?
for the
Double A?
Giants.
Double
Yep.
A to the Giants. Yeah, I grew up going to a lot of those games in Central PA because we didn't have a professional sports team either. So we would go and travel to like the double and AAA games. Harrisburg
Ooh,
had the Senators, which are the Nats
ah, they're
AAA
still
team.
the Senators. I think we play them actually. If you want to go and see
That's
your
so funny.
hometown team
Yeah,
at
because
the
I went
Diamond.
to Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs, which they're the affiliate for Philly, I believe, and then the Senators, which are to Washington, which is
I
fun.
think the Iron Pigs are actually one of the highest attended minor league baseball teams in the country, if
Really?
not the highest. That might need a look up. I can't
Like
remember. I was
Google
looking at it
search.
recently because I thought it was the Squirrels, or I thought they were high up enough to make it on a list, but I know Lehigh was on there.
Really? I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I guess Lehigh Valley. I'm trying to think of things to do other than Iron Pigs game in Lehigh Valley.
Well, how close are they to Philly?
That's a great question. It can't be more than an hour. It's got to be closer than that because I can't. We were an hour and a half from Philly, where I
Mm.
grew up in between Harrisburg and Lancaster. So it was definitely east of that. Let me look up Google Maps because that's an interesting question. I want to look up, yeah, highest attended minor league baseball teams. That's a fun fact. And
Yeah,
I
it is. I
I'm
hope I'm
literally
right.
from the area too. I wish I knew that. Here we go, Lehigh Valley. Oh, I guess that okay, never mind. That's where I grew up. Or not grew up, that's where I was born, excuse me. I was born in Bethlehem,
Oh, okay. I'm
which
familiar
is
with
right in that
Bethlehem.
area. Yeah. Yeah, so it looks like
Okay, I just pulled it up. For the second consecutive season, the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs have finished first in total attendance out of all 120 minor league baseball teams,
wow.
with 588,000, or sorry, 588,788 fans coming through the gates at Coca-Cola Park.
Wow. That's pretty significant. 600,000
Yeah,
people in one season of a minor league team?
hometown claim to fame.
That's right. Let's see. I want to see their stadium capacity. 10,000. So that means they're pulling fans.
Yeah, they're pulling fans.
Wow. So that means like at at any one time they're not pulling more than 10,000 fans, which means well, I guess they do play 162. So they're filling half the stadium every game, I would bet you.
At
At
least,
least.
at least. Well, and I'm sure it helps that, like you said, there may not be that much to do around there, but are they single A? Double
They're
A?
triple A.
AAA. Okay. I don't know.
Yeah, I
That's pretty
know.
cool.
I know. Who was there last year? I think Harper got injured and played his way back up, and they put him in Lehigh Valley. I think that's like a well-known
No
thing
wonder
too.
people are going to the games.
Right. I think Bryson Stott was there last year too. So like
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people will attend that if you get a big star. Because I mean, I'm a Pirates fan. I mean, we're god awful, and I don't even know who our affiliate. Oh, Altoona Curve is one of our affiliates.
We play
Um,
them too at the Diamond. You gotta go.
oh man, so I got to show up in my my Pirates gear. I'm trying to
Yeah,
figure out. There's another fun one that had a really cool logo. Gotta find that.
they're, I mean, some are wilder than others. I don't know if you saw recently, who was it? One of the late night hosts, I think it was John Oliver, did a, I don't know if it was a bit or what, but they were making fun of minor league baseball teams that like needed a rebrand, and they were offering like the show will give a free rebrand including all of like the design service and like merch and stuff to like one minor league team that they deem needs it the most, and they were
Yeah.
just throwing names out there that they thought were dog shit and needed a rebrand, and the squirrels were one of them. I was kind of shocked by that because I personally haven't heard anyone in Richmond be like, I hate our branding. Not when like the Danville Dairy Daddies exist, you know? I mean,
That's wild.
not geeks, but that's borderline not family friendly if John Oliver wants to
True.
take that over.
True. I love the flying squirrels. I think that's a hilarious mascot. I love it.
Yeah,
So our high A affiliate is the Greensboro Grasshoppers. So that's what I was looking to get a hat.
that's like my secondary hometown team. That's 30 minutes from where I grew up. That's funny.
Really? So I'm
Yeah.
assuming they play down there in did they have their own stadium or did they play with like one of the schools?
They that's a good question. I've only been to a couple Grasshoppers games. I think they have their own stadium, but Winston-Salem has its own minor league team called the Dash, which that's that's some branding I've taken issue with. I think it's boring. They named it that because there's a hyphen between Winston and Salem. They call themselves the Dash because of that.
Ah,
So
I see. That's
there's
that's
nothing
kind of
wrong with
cool
it.
play
It's
on
just
words. That's all right. Rather,
yeah.
what's their mascot? Do they have a mascot?
It's like a purple fuzzy thing. I'm trying to think of the let me see if I can pull a picture of it.
So I'm assuming you seem like a baseball fan.
A little bit. I think it's fun to get kind of involved in minor league because it's so low stakes, and also I think like local pride and local sports like that is really fun. I've yet to been to go to a Kickers game. That's still on my list, but
Yeah, and
yeah, I was.
the Ivy are a team now too. They just started the women's team, right?
Oh yeah. Oh my God, that would be even cooler. So yeah, it's fun to do local stuff like that. And my mom is a huge baseball fan. She raised me to cheer for the Braves. So it's in my
Love it.
blood a little bit.
Love it. Love baseball. I think people kind of underestimate how difficult it is to make it as an athlete going into baseball. I mean, just the
Yeah.
mere fact we're talking about all these minor league teams. Each major league team has like 4 affiliate teams that are full
Yeah.
rostered. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like the
I
disparity
hear it from
between
Vincent a little bit. He played baseball in high school and apparently they were really good. They like went to states
yeah,
maybe, but he's always like, have you ever seen Napoleon Dynamite?
of course.
Do you know who Uncle Rico is?
Of course. Love Uncle
And how
Rico.
he could have thrown a football over those mountains back in high school. That's a little bit of what I hear from Vincent about going pro.
Yeah, I think like that might be a male thing. I'm sure I have exhausted my friends with the same statements. Yeah, because I played in high school, but I had Tommy John when I was 18. I tore my ulnar collateral ligament pitching, so I never got the chance to go play in the pros. It's kind of
It's
shut down
exactly the same.
right. And like meanwhile, it was my ass that didn't like finish my physical therapy all the way freshman year of college and
That'll do it.
didn't exercise, train for it. So
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of truth and a lot of what's the word I'm trying to just fib, little white lies,
Yeah.
But I love baseball. I mean, I played it my entire life. I still follow the Pirates, even though we're terrible. And yeah, we have no shot. So I usually root for the Phillies come postseason because Grace is a fan.
Nice.
I know we're not
Nice.
going to make it. Yeah, it's just we have a small owner. His entire net worth is tied up in the Pirates. So that's his earnings for the year. He's got to take his profits. He can't afford to spend millions of dollars like the Mets or the Phillies with ownership groups, and they have private equity firms that, 7 of them that have 6% of, stake in the team and can put up a casual like $1 billion payroll. So
Well,
that's
that's brave of
that,
you to expand your allegiance like that, because I know Philly and Pittsburgh don't always get along.
yeah, except for the what was it, the Steagles in 1942 or 1944 or whatever. A lot of the guys got drafted to go fight in World War II. So during the
Oh,
NFL regular season, teams combined, and the Steelers and Eagles became the Steagles.
I
Played for a
didn't know
season.
that. That's cool sports trivia, the Steagles.
Yeah, yeah. I think it was in the 40s. Let's see, 1943.
Interesting.
Yeah, Pilfit Combine in 1943. The Steagles.
Honestly, I can't believe there was enough of them left out of the draft that were like still athletic enough to be playing Major League Baseball.
Yeah, yeah, that makes me question. Like, okay, so that's kind of like I do a bunch of sports series on the podcast, and we kind of get into the age-old debate, LeBron over MJ or like Tom Brady, all of these top-tier athletes. And
Yeah.
it always comes back to the era of sport. So like these guys in the 1943 season, I could probably get up off the couch and go play football with them just because I'm 6'3". You know what I mean? Purely because I'm
Yeah.
probably larger than a lot of the guys that were playing the sport back in that day, right? I have an
Yeah.
athletic build. I'm 6'3". I'm probably
They
not
get a lot
as
more hormones in the milk and the food these days. You could probably take them.
good. Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. It's just different now. We have, what is it? Kinesiology, physical, like study of physical therapy. I mean, we're quite literally studying these athletes' bodies, and they, the cold plunges, the compression therapy, the saunas, like acupuncture, the cupping. Like there's so many techniques that these guys use to keep their bodies in tip-top shape. That's why LeBron James can play basketball for
Yeah.
21 years, It's
I've always
wild.
kind of wondered about that. Like, you look at Olympic runners and how it seems like every year or two, like, there's always a new record. And, like, there's so much, I mean, running, swimming, like, whatever. It's just, people are always getting, like, faster and faster and better than they were however many years ago. And I'm like, how is that possible if it's not drugs? Because that's so regulated with the steroids and stuff. Like, it must
Some of
come
it is
down to better, like, athletic practices, like you were saying with the kinesiology and, like, physical therapy and training and that kind of thing. It's so interesting how stuff like that can, like, make people that much better. I don't know.
I
I wish I
think
knew more
I
about that.
think a lot of what has to do with it over generations, I think genetics has a huge role to play there. Like, look at a swimmer. Look at oh my god, why can't I remember his last name? The dude that, not Phelps, but the other guy that won like all the backstroke events when we were growing up. I can't
I don't
remember his name. It's
know.
like Ryan something. Anyway, like you look at his build, the guy has like, I mean, my shoulders are pretty broad, but he's got like 6 inches on me, like out. His shoulders are huge. His back is very flat. He's got super long arms. It's like these people are almost built for the sport that they're competing in. I mean, LeBron
Yeah,
James is a very good example, like Victor Wembanyama, or like these tall guys, even Boban. They're 7 feet tall. Like, what else are you gonna do except for play
you think
professional
they're
basketball?
breeding athletes like they do purebred dogs? Like, how do we make this better?
Yeah,
I mean,
I mean,
that gets into eugenics a little bit, but
low key. I mean, the every single racehorse racing in the Kentucky Derby 2 weeks ago is a product of Secretariat, and in some way related to
that was
Secretariat.
crazy. That was a crazy fact. I mean,
So,
those
hey,
horses win that thing, and then they, their reproductive stuff gets sold for like $300,000 a pop.
oh
It's
yeah,
no wonder everyone wants some of that.
I heard it's because Secretariat had a rare genetic disorder that allowed for more blood oxygen to be absorbed into like their bloodstream, so it could act like quite literally maintain what is it like heart rate zone 5 or whatever the fucking scale is of like heart
Yeah,
rate zones, or zone 7, like the max for twice as long as any other horse could. So that's why it's had that competitive advantage.
it sounds like a joke, but I think Michael Phelps had the same thing. There was
Yes.
something about him having like a mutation that made him be like the best athlete. I don't know.
Yep, and same with Lance Armstrong, but his mutation was HGH and anabolic steroids.
Yeah.
I kind of wanted to touch on that a little bit because you said you're not sure if drugs have a lot to play because of the testing organizations. Have you seen the movie Icarus?
I have not.
So it's about this guy who is an amateur cycler, and he's a videographer, video production guy, does documentary filmmaking, and he sets out and he says, I wonder how good steroids can make me. If I am on a strict steroid diet for 6 months, 8 months, how much am I going to be able to compete in amateur cycling events? And so he does a couple baseline rides, at events, and like clearly these guys at the top are very much at the top. And then he gets through like an entire testosterone and I don't know if it was anabolic steroids or it was something. He's slowly catching up to these guys. By the time he gets close, he's like, there's no way any of these guys are natural. They piss clean at every testing event or anytime they knock on their door, what have you. And then he gets connected with a Russian scientist that's tied to, fuck, I can't remember the year of the Olympics, but the Russian doping scandal of like it was like maybe in the 80s. And this guy was the one who administered all of the medicine to the Russian athletes. And I don't want to really spoil more because it gets really kind of in depth and crazy after that. But it just proved to me that like maybe these people are cheating. They're just finding really good ways to game the system.
It's
So
totally possible. Who knows? That sounds like a really good movie though.
oh, phenomenal! It won. I think it won documentary film of the year. I want to say.
Are there any notable cast members or is it just like
I
kind of
mean,
indie
This Grigory guy, who's the Russian scientist, and then the guy who
Gregory?
made it. Yeah,
Yeah. I'll have
yeah,
to add it to the list.
absolutely. It's fantastic. I've seen it a few times. Highly recommend it. I took a video production class in college, and that was one of the movies that I chose to like write a paper on.
Nice. That's cool. I would have liked to take something like that in college. I feel like I'm really into like a movie buff these days. Really into actors, the cast, and that kind of thing.
Who are your favorite actors? Top 3 maybe. This can be current or all time. Doesn't no pressure on that. Like
That is
I
so
I I
difficult.
definitely have like two guys that are consistently in my rotation, and then it kind of revolves around that.
I'm trying to I think this isn't going to be the best answer because favorites are really difficult for me. I feel like it's always
That's okay.
they change.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
right now I've been really liking Sophie Thatcher, if you know who that is.
Why do I know who that
She's
is?
she's kind of a scream queen, and I think that's why it's been fun. She was in Yellow Jackets, if you've heard of that TV show.
I have. I've never seen it, but I've
Um,
heard of it.
what else has she been in? She was in an HBO movie recently called Companion. That was fantastic. She played like an AI bot kind of girl. She
Oh,
was
that's
in
her. I saw that on like a preview when I was
yeah,
scrolling through
and
it.
then Heretic with Hugh Grant. She's one of the girls in that. If you've seen it, that one's really good. Would recommend.
That's what I recognize her from. She's in the Book of Boba Fett. What I've seen on Disney, yeah. She's the, mercenary.
Yeah, so she's fun just because she's like kind of burst onto the scene, and like I
Yeah.
said, I love a scream queen. But all time, tough. I want to say I liked Pedro Pascal before he was cool. I got hip to that in Narcos, and I loved him. But
Narcos
it's
is
been really
awesome.
fun. It's been really fun to watch like his ascent into stardom, especially with like the new. Are you watching The Last of Us?
I haven't seen it. Vincent and I talked about this, I think, on the podcast. I have not seen it. I've heard incredible things both about the video game and the show,
Yeah.
and I just haven't done it.
Yeah. He's I mean, it's great. You've got to give it a try. I picked it up from Vincent because when we first started dating, he was playing the video game. And I was like, I don't want to sit here and watch you play a video game, dude. Are you kidding? And then I actually gave it a chance and it was awesome. It was like watching a movie. And the show is amazing too. It does really good justice. But other actors that I don't know, I I have weird favorites that come to mind, like Jeff Bridges. I'll watch anything that Jeff Bridges is in.
Huge Jeff Bridges guy. Yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
I like Jeff Bridges. What's the other Jeff I like? I like Jeff Goldblum, maybe is his name. He's like
Oh
the
yeah.
bigger dude that's like really gruff and like has the curly hair. He's funny.
Yeah. He's
Man,
tall, but he's skinny. Yeah, I also love Jeff Goldblum. That's funny.
trying
I
to
don't
think.
know. I just love my favorite thing is like an ensemble cast. Like all of your favorite people all at once. Like
Yeah.
the Fargo TV show does a great job with that if you've ever seen it. It's just a lot
No,
of like
that's the
high
one with
caliber actors. Like Billy
what's
Bob
his
Thornton is in
hmm
there. And Martin, God, what is his name? It's not Martin Short.
I forgot that Jeff Bridges was the dude. That's what I was like. He's oh man, what a movie. What a
Yeah, he's the dude.
what a
Yeah,
movie.
fantastic movie. It's The Blueprint. That's
The
what I'm talking
Blueprint.
about.
Have I
Or
seen
no,
that?
sorry, it's not called The Blueprint. It's The Big Lebowski.
The Big Lebowski. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
With yeah, because Jeff Goldblum's in that one, isn't he?
I
Or
don't think
no?
he is.
No, he's not. Who's in
There's
that?
another chap that he plays the friend.
Yeah, who is that? I'm looking now. Is it Josh Brolin?
I'm thinking of John Goodman,
Oh, I clicked
but
on yes,
that's
yes, yes, yes. I clicked on
perfect.
True Grit by accident. I was like, that's not
That is a
right.
perfect example of an ensemble cast. We've got Jeff Bridges, John Goodman, Steve Buscemi, Julianne Moore, John Turturro, our boy from Severance and Oh Brother Where Art Thou, Sam Elliott, who is a legend in himself. Like that movie is just incredible.
John Goodman is who I was thinking of.
Yeah,
Yeah,
close.
love him. And is it Steve? How do you say his last name? Buscemi?
Buscemi.
Buscemi? He's one of my favorites too. He's just the right I don't mean to like sound like an asshole or anything, but he's just the right amount of weird looking to fit a ton of his
Yeah.
roles that he's in. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, so good,
It was
so
so
good.
funny as like someone from our generation to have seen him in other stuff where he's older and then it comes time to do the rite of passage of watching The Sopranos and then like
Yes,
he comes in during that show and you're like, oh shit, is that Steve Buscemi? And
yeah. I
then
actually
I
just
won't spoil what
talked
happens to
about.
Steve Buscemi in The Sopranos.
I just talked about the ending with Cabell. I was just editing that podcast yesterday.
Oh, Cavill came on the podcast.
He did. His episode will be out in a few weeks, but we were arguing about the ending because he was like, cinematically, it was perfect because it meant this and that. I'm like, dude, I fucking hated it because it like, I very much prefer movies and shows with a very complete story arc. I don't like
Yeah,
things being left up to interpretation. I want
I
to
don't
know
either.
from the filmmaker that's what I wanted to come across. You know what I mean?
I
And
do know
I
what you
think
mean. I hate the endless speculation. Like
yes,
I love to speculate about like hidden meanings in other stuff throughout like a film or a book, but please don't make it the ending. Like I kind of need to know what happened. Like I'm a
absolutely.
big true crime fan also, and a lot of the times like some of my favorite shows or podcasts will cover a cold case, which I know is like important to do to raise awareness for that kind of thing, but it's like, damn it, I want to know what happened.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy how many of those are out there. I think I follow, what is it, r/unresolved mysteries. So I see cold cases pop up on my
Ooh.
feed every once in a while.
Yeah, I don't think I follow that, but maybe I need to look into it. I'm always looking for new subreddits to get on
That's
to.
that's the problem though. I'm on there and social media too much. I need to read more books because I've always like loved reading. A lot of huge fantasy buff, but I've kind of gotten away from that, and that's why I think I'm drawn to Reddit so much is because it's text
Mhm.
based. It seems more engaging to my brain and mindful maybe is a word
Yeah,
for it. But even
I
so, I
agree.
think it's getting too corporate and like too. I feel like a lot of the stuff is bot generated and like just pushed out now. It's tough to get actual user content.
It's certainly devolving, which I'm really blown about because that's like my last social media standing, other than I deleted Twitter just because I hate Elon Musk. And like Facebook is just out the window for our generation. And Instagram, that one's it's unfortunately it's indisposable. I need it to find like two artists and to keep
Yeah.
up with my cousins that I don't talk to, you know? But other than that, my main I spend hours a day on Reddit, but it is getting like there's a gigantic ad in the middle of like a comment section of a post, and it's yeah, it's definitely getting a little overrun with bots and ads, but I'm clinging on to it. I love Reddit. I can't let
Me
it
too.
go.
Me too. It's by far my favorite. I love that everything is user based. So the best and the collapsible text threads. That's like phenomenal. And
Yeah,
the fact that everything's user based is my favorite because the best comments as voted per the users of that specific subreddit will get voted to the top. It's not like, oh my god, we have unless the post makes like the all page or like a larger popular page or
yeah.
whatever, then it might be a little more construed. But
It's a democracy.
yes. Not to say you can't like I'm sure I don't know if you've seen the videos of like the troll farms in China or whatever with like the 50 phones on like one handheld thing. I'm sure they
Oh
like karma
God.
farm and shit like that, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's the best for me. I'm still on Instagram as well. I'm on all of the platforms for the podcast. I have like a social media management app or service that I use, two
Yeah.
free ones. So I just post like all the text-based threads and then I do everything else. But I use Facebook for the marketplace. I'm big on Facebook Marketplace.
That was one thing I tried to delete Facebook just because I was so mad at like the 1% after the election. But then I realized like I'm nothing without Facebook Marketplace. Where else am I going to get secondhand furniture other than I mean, I tried, I can't remember what the app is. There's some kind of alternative.
Maybe like Let
It's
Go or
trying.
Poshmark or something like that.
No, it was like specifically for furniture and stuff that you would find on Facebook Marketplace, but I mean, it sucked. So I had to make a new Facebook account. I'm back on Facebook
Yeah.
Marketplace.
They just win in that regard because they already have the user base. All those
Yeah,
people already have the Facebook app. They can just go on the marketplace account.
I
It's so
know.
easy.
It's just too convenient.
Yep. Yeah, I'm trying to get all of my personal shit off there. I'd like to shut off all my accounts and move to like no social media. Reddit's definitely going to be the hardest one, but
Yeah.
um, I don't know. Been trying to do that less. Engage
Yeah.
more outside.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I think you're doing a pretty good job of it. You're running a podcast.
Yeah, so it's tough. Like I try not to be on there too, but like that's where I get my news from like Reddit. Honestly,
Yeah.
like not sitting down watching the nightly news. Sorry to all you TV
Because
producers out
nobody
there.
lies on the internet. Like it's all
Right.
relatable. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. I feel like at least I'm getting other users' opinions on the information that's presented in like a
Yeah.
CNBC
I
or
know I'm not the only one that Googles a question and just tacks like Reddit on the end of it because I want to hear it straight from the horse's mouth. I want to hear people talking about this thing that I'm looking up and not like the Google AI bot generated summary.
yep. Yeah, it's so great. That's like why I love the podcast. That's why I like talking to people. I think you can learn so much more out of a conversation than you can a statement or like being told something, even like a YouTube video where you're acting something out or going through the process and learning how to achieve something.
Yeah.
I think just being able to relate to another person and work your way through the problem is much more effective. I talked about this with Cabell in the previous podcast, like I was telling you. I think that's like number 35 or 36 coming out in the next few weeks. But I think teamwork is so important. That's I played a lot of sports when I was younger. You need to learn how to share and how to work together and how to treat other people with respect, or else you won't make it very far. So I don't know, long-winded and I rambled a little bit, but
I mean, it's so real. That's definitely something that you're taught, like, as a little kid. Like, you have to take your turn, you have to learn how to share, but it's so pervasive all throughout life. And especially, I have noticed it in adulthood and, like, living with roommates or living with a partner or even just in your career, like
yeah.
that way that you relate to other people. Goes on forever. So, no, I think it's important.
It's a marketable skill too, I feel like
Yeah.
all the people in these CEO positions, not to say they didn't work very hard to get there, and they can come yell at me when they have time to listen to my podcast, which is probably never. But I feel like you have to build good relationships, and that's what it's all about. Once you get to a certain level, obviously there's going to be skill gap, but like I don't know. I don't think there's probably a huge amount of skill gap between like a senior guy that's been there for 20 years and the CEO that's been there for 25 years. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I think it's
No.
more of like how you work your way up the corporate ladder or how you present yourself. I mean, sometimes it's just as easy as that. Like I struggled to present myself with confidence in the workplace, fighting for more PTO or higher pay, a lot of these things that I'm sure a lot of other people struggle with as well. And I think that's important to kind of work on that as you're younger, speaking up, asking for things. Like it's good to be told no because then, okay, you're rejected, you lose. How do you respond to that? Do you
Yes.
become
Yes.
dejected and go back into your shell, or do you find a way around the roadblock or the problem and develop a solution? So
Yeah.
there's a lot of meaning to it.
It's all a learning experience. And that's a really good point that you just made. And, like, going back to, there's not a skill gap necessarily between, like, the CEO and maybe a senior associate, but it's so obvious the skill gap between, like, even someone like me. Like, I've been in my field for 5 years. And when I'm working, like, with my studio director who's handling more of, like, client relations and employee relations and that kind of thing, the higher you climb the ladder in, I think, probably any job field, it becomes more about interpersonal relationships because you go from doing, like, the bitch work, for lack of a better term, or like keyboard monkeying, that kind of thing, to being the one who's going face to face with clients and stuff. But I think that's partially because it just takes that long to develop
Absolutely.
those kind of interpersonal skills. Like, it's kind of a science, and it takes time.
Absolutely. And I think that's something that everybody can kind of learn a lesson or get out of that section of the podcast. It's very important to work hard, and don't get me wrong, like being a keyboard monkey, I think that's essential in developing skills, right? And
Yeah.
like learning about your job. I think that's a very important experience to have. But post that, yeah, you gotta learn how to talk to people, even if it's a facade at work. Like I'm a big believer in that. When I'm at work, they got me on the clock, I'm there and I'm present and I'm,
Yeah.
trying my best and my hardest to like provide a good experience or product for my boss or my organization. They're paying me. I want to perform. As soon as I'm off the clock, no more work. I don't know what it is. Flip a switch. Like I don't even want to be thinking about it. Unless I'm like researching potential job opportunities or like further schooling or something like that.
Yeah. That's
But
really good that you can do that, especially in, like, design and construction. There's such a stigma isn't even the right word. Like, it's a real thing about people not really being able to, like, leave work at work. And, like, architecture has such a reputation for, like, you know, project managers cracking the whip and people, like, working all this overtime and stuff. And it's super unhealthy way to go about your job. But at the same time, when it comes to creative work like that, it becomes more of a personal issue. Like, you're kind of pouring your heart and soul into like design or a client relationship or that kind of thing, it becomes difficult to leave it at home. I'm not saying that from personal experience. I'm really good at like turning it off and going home because yes, I work in like a field that I'm really passionate about and this is totally my dream job, but like I don't dream of labor. I want to go home and chill and hang out with Vincent and the dog, you know? So that's definitely been a struggle, like the work life balance, or I guess it hasn't been that much of a struggle, but having to assess like how much of yourself to put into your career versus how much of yourself to put into your personal life. And like for our generation, I think that's such a big thing, like the work life
Yeah.
balance, because I don't know if your parents were like mine or like my dad, who was like, I had to work so hard to get where I am. Like, if you worked harder, you could be there too. It's like, not in this world. It's different. And also, that's an unhealthy way to live if you're working like 60 to 80 hours a week. Like, great. Maybe you're making a ton of money, but you might be miserable.
Absolutely. Two comments. The bootstrap economy. Pull
Yeah.
yourself up by your bootstraps. Absolutely. We talked about that in, I think, the very first episode of the podcast, and how
Yeah.
it's unsustainable, unattainable, especially in today's society. And you earn way more out of not having brand loyalty in today's job market, hopping
Yeah.
around, looking for more experience elsewhere, stuff like that. Um, fuck, I forgot my second comment. I was just very, very excited to talk about the bootstrap
The
economy.
bootstrap
Oh,
economy.
I did have another question related to architecture to kind of ask you.
Sure.
Do you do any green, like green products, green building, stuff like that, like green walls, modular stuff, anything exciting? Like that's what I have lacked since college. My actual major was, what is it, sustainability and green construction. So one of our
Mhm.
projects was to design, you know, as a construction major, an off-grid solar house. So it wasn't as much as like the constructability. It was more about the materials and um, like rainwater collection, renewable resource usage. We had a rainwater collector, I think, like a wind harvester, wind turbine, and solar panels, of course, and then something like we had specific mats inside to retain heat throughout certain areas of sunlight and bay windows and stuff like that. So that was a super interesting class of mine. I wish I could have gotten more into it. Unfortunately, like I've seen zero application of that in my experience
Yeah.
so far post college in general contracting.
Yeah. Before I answer your question, I have to ask who was the professor for that course that you took?
Beliveau, Professor Beliveau.
Dang. I I was just taking my like professional exams to be able to be qualified to be a licensed architect, and I took this course by a Virginia Tech architecture professor who did the same. It was like a passive solar house, and he tooted his own horn throughout the entire course so much about this house that he built, but it sounded so much like what you described.
So was that this
Um,
past year? His name's Yvonne Beliveau. He retired 2 years ago, I think.
no, the guy I'm thinking of, his name's Michael Ehrman. He's
I
a
don't know if I have
professor in
his,
the architecture school. Yeah, I don't know. Probably not a unique concept at Tech, but
but a very interesting project nonetheless. Like I
yeah,
was so excited to do it.
totally. I mean, they pushed that kind of thing on us a lot. I went to school at UVA, so there was a lot of like philosophy of design stuff that we would look at and like building a better future and things that were like sustainable and resilient and that kind of thing. My thesis project focused around that. Like it's kind of like the designer developer's dream to be able to incorporate it as much as possible, but I mean, you probably know as well as I do how expensive it is to build in that way. But
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we
we
cut
do
corners,
it.
not corners, excuse me. We cut costs wherever we can.
Yeah.
Very literally. I mean, like
Yeah,
they tell us like no added costs. Like we need this base level as possible. Sorry to
sure.
interrupt. I just had to
No, 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 you're
had to
good.
interject.
There's another level of accreditation that you could get as an architect. It's called the LEED Green Building Standard, which is kind of like and you might know, it's kind of like
Currently.
what's the right word?
Maybe not
It's
like
just
an
like
umbrella, but it's like the pedestal
yeah, it's like the
organization.
exemplary building standard where if for like sustainable green
Right.
building. So as a design professional or a construction professional, you can get certified in this like lead green building thing. I haven't done it yet, so I don't know the extent of that, but I know it's popular and I know they make a lot of pushes for professionals to incorporate these kind of ideas. And just because of the price point, like a lot of the time, it might come in the beginning concepts like, oh, we could do a green roof. Like this, it adds beauty to the built environment. It adds so many like thermal properties. It's so good in a temperate, like humid environment like we have here in Virginia. It's excellent at regulating heat in the building, especially because we've got so much like sun overhead and southern sun that beats down
Sure.
onto roofs and that kind of thing, but it usually gets VE'd out. Um,
Yeah.
but in on smaller levels, like if there are clients willing to incorporate solar energy, like solar panels is a very attainable um, building strategy, and it's also kind of a big focus behind the scenes to make things more like we'll use windows that are maybe double paned so that they're more efficient. Like
What is it? The
your
solar coefficient or something? The U factor or
yeah,
some
like
shit
your
like that?
HVAC system won't have to work as hard. And
Right.
same thing with like insulation and walls. Like there's no right answer to doing that. And especially because there's so many different conditions that happen within a building. Like you've got window openings, door openings, like building expansion joints and that kind of thing. And those all need to be detailed kind of very intricately in order to maintain that sort of like building efficiency. So it doesn't happen in like the romanticized way that you think about with like green building, but in the day to day designing that we do, like it's just getting better and better. And the organizations that kind of regulate that kind of thing keep kind of raising the standard,
Yeah.
you know? So it's there. It's just we're so limited by budgets and like what clients want. It's just, it goes so far outside of like the designer's ideal. It just doesn't always get realized.
Yeah. Yeah. We see that all the time. I wonder if there's any sort of like subsidy program for lead certified buildings or like specific.
There is,
Oh,
you get
there are.
tax breaks and stuff if you get your building lead certified, but the problem with that is like the upfront cost of lead certification and building a green building is like you've got to I'm sure there's more to it than that. Like I said, I don't know enough about it because I haven't pursued certification, but I know if you do go through with it, there's a ton of benefits on the other end. So I would love to see more of that. And I should probably just try to get my certification so I know more about it because
Yeah.
it's definitely something I care about.
Funny story. My fifth year, my professor allowed me to do research for, I think I needed 1 or 2 credits in a specific area. And what I did was I researched certification programs around the world, and it was for one of the doctorate students' thesis projects, I guess. So
Mhm.
my job was to collect and compile as much as I could from all over the earth, um, essentially, of different programs that were realized across different countries, and a lot of them were similar in a lot of ways. And obviously, first world countries were much more advanced than obviously less developed countries or underdeveloped countries, but it was super interesting to see like a lot of them had programs in place. Like people are trying to promote a better, more sustainable future. It's not like nobody's out there trying to do this. Like there are plenty of people out there trying to promote this product, trying to make it a better sustainable earth for us to live on for a longer extended period of time. I did read somewhere that the what is it? The maybe it's the earth is going to shift off its axis like 10 billion years sooner than we thought or something like that.
Oh
So
my
maybe
God, are you
maybe not.
serious?
Yeah, something like that. Maybe it wasn't that. Maybe it was something about the Milky Way galaxy black hole. I don't know. it said our time was cut by 10 billion years. I'm like, oh, that takes us from 160 to 150 billion. So as long as it
Lord.
lasts long enough for, well, I don't know, the human race is more likely to, I think, implode on itself than an external factor coming in and killing us like a
I think
meteor.
you're
But
right. I think you're right. I don't think we're gonna get a chance to like see the end. That's not our own doing. But I mean, it is a really important it's it's a really important thing to look at when you're involved in development. I mean, concrete production alone is I can't remember the exact statistic, but it's responsible for like an obscene portion of global warming or pollution. I think it's like 10%, which
it,
doesn't sound like that much, but concrete alone being responsible for that much of it, and it's like it really makes you think, and especially as a designer, it really makes you think, but it's kind of unavoidable in that sense. And then it makes you think until you realize that like there's a certain amount of people in the world that are responsible for all of the bad stuff that's happening. So
yeah.
you got
Yep.
to think
Yeah.
twice on things
I
twice.
read 1984 last year for the second time, so
Good
it's a
book.
good
Good book.
reminder. What I was going to say about the concrete, though, I've heard that it's just as harmful to be everything to be concrete and asphalt because of the heat retention. It's
Heat
bad for the
retention
local
is a big
environment.
thing. Um, easiest easiest way to see that like being realized is winter in Richmond. Like sometimes there will be some systems that are moving through that are carrying snow up into like Ashland, Henrico, the East End, and then you see it on the radar, and then suddenly it goes like right around Richmond like that because we live on such a big heat island, and it's that's not just Richmond, that's any city. Like heat retention like that affects kind of like our microclimate. But living in a city inherently like there's so much masonry construction, there's so much asphalt being used in the roads and stuff, but doing stuff like limiting parking counts where you don't have to have these big swaths of surface parking that are just like radiating summer heat and like holding in too much solar heat in the winter. That kind of thing is like a step forward that's beneficial to that. And I mean, the heat retention honestly isn't even the biggest issue with
Was like water runoff from creation of
water
concrete
runoff is
mix
a
and shit
big
like
thing.
that.
Like we love to see permeable materials,
Yeah.
water runoff on pavement and especially off of roads. It's like there's not a way for it to filter down into the earth and kind of get rid of those harmful things like gasoline or oil or stuff that's on the roads, pesticides.
Yep.
Um, yeah,
So I've
sorry.
heard there's more of a shift towards permeable pavement. They're trying to use that a little bit more, but I would assume the costs are much, much higher. So
Yeah,
that's probably
uh,
tough to integrate that. But I've heard it's great for like, wastewater runoff and the like, and maybe even like I know at Virginia Tech they were trying to do like a heated road thing to like melt ice and snow, which I'm not sure how cost effective that would be, but I think the technology's there and people are trying to create new ideas. So I don't know.
yeah, 100%. Permeable pavement is great. Like I said, it's just better groundwater treatment than letting it all run off into like rivers and lakes and streams. And then that's how you get so much more pollution in those bodies of water and not even just those like into the ocean. It's just kind of like this domino effect of pollution. Whereas if it were allowed to seep into the earth, it goes through this natural filtration process and then kind of returns back where it came from in terms of like aquifers and that kind of thing. But notably, it's good in like coastal environments where flooding and like ground shifting, especially on like the Outer Banks and stuff, like using permeable pavements in those areas helps mitigate a lot of those effects. So
Huh.
all
I
around
didn't know.
good thing, but it does kind of all boil down to like cost and people's willingness to use it.
Can I pitch something that may have changed history, maybe for the better, maybe for the worse, but we would not have any of these issues with asphalt or concrete roads. That would be the high-speed railways. intercontinental railway system. But Ford Motor Company, GM, they had to come in. That was the huge thing. I mean, capitalistic society, like who's running the world at that time? It's Ford and GM. They're making cars. They want everybody to buy cars. Cars are subsidized. Now we have to build roads everywhere. We're already using railroads at that time. We had steam power and coal power. Um, I don't know, it just blows my mind that like the entire system was fabricated on basically a sales tactic almost.
I don't think you're wrong. I mean, blame it on big car, big auto,
Big car, yeah.
probably. Yeah. This is something that I like shake my fists at the sky about all the time. Like anytime you want to try to take a quick trip to DC or New York, fuck you. Your only option is the Amtrak, and we're only going to go 35 miles an hour the whole way. Like, and we're going to charge you $200 to go there. It
Yeah.
sucks. It sucks. I I have such big feelings about like the train system in America and what it could be. It's anybody that goes to Europe sees like what we could have, how good life could be. It's so nice and it's such a public service. And then living it, I mean, this kind of goes back to the whole sprawl thing
Yeah.
too. You don't see that as much in Europe because they have such, I think the train system does contribute to that. Like, yeah, there's pockets of villages and stuff, but their cities aren't like bloated and unhealthy, at least in that sense. Um, that's I don't know if America's ever gonna have that, but I would
No, we
kill.
can't.
I would kill to have a high speed train system.
We can't. Too much lobbying going on, in my opinion. I mean,
Um,
I agree with you. I wish we could. I just
yeah,
don't think that it's feasible.
eat the rich, man.
Yeah, you know what? Like, oh my, that does piss me off. Like, what? 1% of some of these guys' net worth could probably build a railway system for 30 states, 40 states. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
and you want to talk about the climate, think about how much that would help with that kind of thing. Like the amount of air traffic would slow so much. It would be more economical. It would be more like economic or economically friendly if we did have access to that kind of thing. But nope, don't have nice things. Not in
Guess
America, at
and
least.
guess who's continuously bailed out by the government? Airlines. I mean, we see it time and time again. The banks and the airlines. We've run
Yep.
on a fiat currency, the U.S. dollar. I don't think a lot of people understand or appreciate that comment. And yeah, I don't know. It's hard because so many people that have so much could give just a little and it would affect everybody's lives. But the way we've created our society, and even like George Washington was a centrist. He was like more of a libertarian than anything, I believe. The whole reason they had the conjoined meeting was so like they could come to an agreement amongst different opinionated parties. And we just don't
Yeah,
see
dude.
that anymore. Everybody's of the same opinion except for two figureheads that are wanting you to think it's one way or the other. And like in reality, it's all being done in your local government. That's why I thought it was awesome that we talked about Avula. I think it's so important to be involved in your local community and just do your research when you're voting, especially for more local people. And
Yeah.
then lobbyists. I mean, the House and and Congress are literally voting on bills because they own shares of companies that it'll impact it. Like this is crazy, a crazy world we live in.
Yeah. It's sick. It's twisted. I don't think Congress should be allowed to own stock. I don't think there should be any way that these people can be bought because that's what's governing our entire lives now. Like you mentioned I think the most important way that you can be involved politically is like at the municipal level. These are the people that are going to be making the laws that most directly affect your life. And then it only goes up from there. It's like you're voting for people that are going to go represent you in Congress and that kind of thing. And Jesus, I mean, some of them are going to vote on their own whims and not for their constituents, which I don't know what there is to do about that other than vote those fuckers out. But even if you look at like we've got, the whole give me liberty or give me death speech that Patrick Henry gave here in Richmond at a church that's still standing. We
I
just
didn't know
had the
that was still
250th
standing.
anniversary. Yeah, we just had the 250th anniversary of that speech at it's in Churchill. I cannot remember the name of the church, but like Youngkin went out there for that. And there were so many people out there protesting because it was like If you think that Patrick Henry, who gave this "Give Me Liberty or Give Me Death" speech, would be down with your fucked up little rat boy policies and like ass kissing that he does to this fascist government, you are living in a fantasy. It's crazy. I've never heard someone get booed so loud as I heard Youngkin the at the anniversary of that speech. It's just ridiculous. Like the comparison between what we were built on and what we are now. I mean, that's a whole different rabbit hole.
Oh,
I could
absolutely.
go longer, but I won't for everybody's sake.
I want at some point, like I want to get five. I think my thing here does up to six microphones. I would love to have like a panel discussion on something like that because I grew up in a very conservative region of Pennsylvania, and I would consider myself, more fiscally conservative. I like my bonds. I, pretty knowledgeable about my investing tactics. I like to know where my money goes, and I'm very tight, small with my money. I would say very socially liberal. I'm like, yeah, I don't know if you could tell by the way I'm addressing the government and speaking my mind about how um, our Congress people are not representing their constituents in a way that they should be. But I think that like that landscape has very much shifted since we were middle school, high school, and now everything's like so dramatic in one fashion or another fashion. And I feel like that's the only
Yeah.
media that's being delivered to us is either hard one way or hard the other way. It's hard for me to get even like formulate my own opinions because when I'm looking shit up on the internet, I feel like all of that is a social tactic to get me to read specific stuff because they filter through my data and tag me on specific things. You know what I mean? It's hard.
Yeah.
I feel like I can't even form my own opinion anymore.
I mean, it's also polarized because the stakes are so high now. It's like basic
Yeah, that's true.
human rights are on the line. But I love your idea of doing a panel or something, especially I mean, I don't know if you would be interested in this, but like local politics would be so interesting to talk about because there's so much here, like Richmond government specifically has been a cesspool since like the 80s, but there's a lot of cool stuff going on behind the scenes of people like actually giving a shit and actually trying to reform that. And that, as I said before, it just plays such a big role in it climbs up next to the state level and that climbs up next to the federal level. Like it makes so much bigger of an impact than I think a lot of people realize.
See, that's what still gives me faith in community and humanity in general. Like, there are people running homeless shelters out there. There's people looking out for you if you drop your keys on the sidewalk. Like, I think people are inherently good. I think there's a lot of bad eggs, maybe not a lot, but like just a large enough amount to make everybody else's houses smell like sulfur. You know what I mean? Like they have just enough of a stench that it gets onto everybody. Weird
Yeah,
analogy, but like I think that fits pretty well.
I think it does too. And you could probably hold a whole podcast episode on whether people are inherently good or inherently bad or like the nature versus nurture thing. Like it's so interesting.
Absolutely. It's you're a product of your environment. So I feel like if you were raised by and or commonly around people that know how to share or follow the golden rule or nice to other people, that's just a tactic or something that you pick up and start to realize in your own life.
Yeah, I'm a believer. I totally agree.
Yeah, I'm a believer in karma too. I
Yeah,
think
me too.
there's something going on. I don't know what, but I feel like putting good energy back into the universe can't be a bad thing.
No, it certainly can. Always choose the kind option. That's what I
Yeah,
try to do in
absolutely.
my day-to-day interactions. Sometimes it's hard if someone's being a real asshole. You don't necessarily have to choose the kind option there, but most of the time, that's what I try to do.
Yeah, it's a good meditation tactic or maybe even reality check for myself. I'm like, all right, let's chill out for a second and maybe think about what are the ramifications or repercussions if I do make this decision. Like it happens to
Yeah.
me all the time when I'm driving. I don't know if I necessarily would have road rage on a scale of like actual road rage, but I get pretty pissed off when I'm
Vincent
driving.
has taught me a really good road rage tactic. I mean, I used to be like
Oh yeah.
this all the time, like birds up in the air, but he's like, that doesn't hit as hard. Like everybody flips each other off. You got to give them the thumbs down. Like, I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. Like I really disapprove on what you're doing. People like actually will do a double take. It's like you see a middle finger, whatever. You see a thumbs down. It's like, is that person just disapproving of my actions? Like that
That's hilarious.
stings.
I love that. You
Yeah.
got to find ways to be a oh my god, I just lost my train of thought. Be a creative asshole, I guess is what I was
Yeah.
looking for.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm going to use that 100%. People piss
You
me off
should.
every single
It's
day.
helped me a lot, not even just like driving the point home further, but it kind of makes you walk it back a step and be like, I don't need to be this mad. This person is just doing something that I don't really love, you know?
Fair. That's a great point.
Use it in your everyday life, not even when you're
I never
just
really
driving.
thought about it that way either. How you emotionally kind of react to different gestures and stuff like that. Because the middle finger
Yeah.
is a generic fuck you, right? Like, and
Yeah.
if you're doing the thumbs down, maybe that is a hmm. That's interesting. I'll have to talk to my sister about that. She we both have ADHD and talk about things of that nature quite often. One of the things I most frequently bring up is like when I drive down the highway, I think about how many people I pass and what they're going to do that day and what do they have
I
in the
think about
trunk of
that
their
all the
car.
time too.
It's wild, the vastness of the universe. So that'll be a fun conversation to be had.
Yeah.
That's so interesting, though. I don't know. Human social dynamics have always amazed me.
Yeah,
Maybe just
me
because I'm a
too.
dude, or like, I don't know. I feel like I'm not emotionally intelligent, so I'm constantly learning
I think it's a
about
constant learning
that.
experience for everybody. I don't think you're alone in that.
Oh my God. That made me remember what I was going to say, I think 30 minutes ago when we were finishing the conversation before we went into architecture. Um, never mind. I forget. I'll just cut that out. I got so excited because you said something that triggered my memory to that, and then I
Dang
forgot it.
it. I don't remember what it was.
Because I was like earlier, I was like point one, I wanted to make this, and I was like point two, I was like, I forgot point two. Just refer back
Yeah.
to one.
Shit, man.
No, I'm constantly like that. But anything else you kind of wanted to chat about before we start to wrap it up here? I love the conversation about
Off the top
architecture.
of my head, no. Um, no, I don't think so. I mean,
Anything that people need to know.
the people need to know. I feel like
People.
I've already touted my opinions a decent amount on this podcast. The people have probably gotten plenty of that.
We love it. We love it. No, next time you'll definitely have to come over. Was honestly a phenomenal conversation. I can't believe it's almost been an hour and 25 minutes. I
Time
wanted to
flies when you're
thank
having
you.
fun.
Thank you for coming on here.
Yeah,
I just
I'm really glad to
appreciate,
be here. Thank you for having me, and
of
I would
course.
definitely love to do it again. I love talking. I love to talk.
Yeah, I mean, it makes it so much more interesting. Like, I didn't know that we had the construction sphere in common. It always
Yeah,
makes it
I
super
didn't either.
interesting to find something you relate to one another about. And I would never know that. You think we're going to talk about construction when I see you at one of Vincent's shows or something like that? Like, no,
I mean, unless I hit you with the eternally boring question of like, what do you do for work?
sure.
It's just, I mean, in this instance, it would be like, oh shit, like nice. It's
Right.
adjacent at least to what each other does. But like anybody else asks that question, or if I ask that question to anybody else, it's like, oh, I'm a consultant. And I'm like, I don't know what the fuck that means. Like, next.
No, we love to share common passions, and I think that's the most important thing I try to get across on this podcast is just to
Yeah.
promote. We're all similar in a sense, but we're all extremely different. Like everybody has their own quirks and methods and means to do everything that they do in their daily lives, and a lot of us are finding our way onto our path and working our way through the forks in the road, just like everybody else. So really,
Yeah,
really appreciate
totally.
you taking the time.
It's a, it's an awesome concept, and I appreciate you having me on. I would love to come back.
Yeah, let's do it. We'll set you up in the studio. We'll get you here. We'll do another one-on-one interview if you don't mind. I like to schedule them like
Totally.
6 months apart. So then we get to catch up. We kind of have a general vibe of like what we talked about previously. The second conversation usually goes better than the first one. You have an idea what you're walking into. So
Yeah, totally.
And then we'll do a panel or something with all of us in here. I don't know if you know Joe
Get me,
Rogan's Protect
get
My
me and
Park.
Cobble Hill in the same room. Oh my God.
Perfect. I need a mini fridge, put a couple beers with some White Claws in there. I've been a seltzer guy recently, so
Me
need to
too.
stick to that. But
I will happily donate.
love it. Well, thanks again for coming on here. Really appreciate you taking an hour and a half to hash it out with me on the
Thank you for
Slanted
having me.
Attic.
I had a blast.
Good. Well, I'm glad you had fun. It's time for the little outro. So we'll get right into that. Appreciate everybody for listening almost an hour and a half to our conversation. Each and every one of you. I know some of you don't make it this far. Usually listeners give up within 10 minutes, but for each and every one of you that made us all the way to the end, thanks for coming out. You can find us on all social media platforms. We're at Slanted Attic. I believe on X, we're Slanted Attic with 2 C's. And then we're available on all podcast platforms, The Slanted Attic Experience. We do produce a show every other Monday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So make sure to check our Spotify out, or our Instagram has all of our links if you need more information. We have a Substack and a website coming soon. Got a couple series on the way that we're excited to get out. Hunter and I are doing some research-based stuff, so I'm excited to publish some abstracts and maybe some articles on there. So thanks everybody again, and we'll see you next time.